Good afternoon, Twitch. I'm live today with Sino again. How you doing, Sino?
Very good, very good. Can't wait to see this.
Of course, it would be right when I start my stream. I get a wrong number fax call coming in. So, today Sino and I are going to be watching and reviewing a castle drop strategy for beating the the Extreme AI HD. I was able to beat the HD in less than 35 minutes game time, which is kind of huge. This is a big milestone for me. I was really excited to today, for the first time, beat all three AIs on Extreme. And this is the strategy that I used. Do you have anything to add before I get into it? What's that?
I said he has come farther than me. That's incredible to be able to jump three in one day.
Well, I guess before I click to watch, I should note that I did get this strategy from a Power of Wilson YouTube video that I'll include in the details at the end of the stream. But the fast castle strategy that I used was Sino's 23 pop strategy, which I know is heavily influenced off of Hera. So those are just some other content creators and Age of Empires player that I want to make sure get credit since it's due.
It's actually influenced off this other guy, but I don't remember who he is or what his name is, unfortunately.
Well, I know that the Dark Age, like especially the first 8 steps, are pretty standard Hera builds. And those are also probably pretty standard for him because they were standard for his mentor. So I think they're just common builds for any of the top 5% of Age of Empire players.
Correct.
But anywho, you'll see what we're talking about here shortly. I'm going to pull up the Capture Age. This is the AI HD playthrough. I was playing against the Khmers. And I guess we don't need the tutorial. This comes up every time. So it starts off showing the AI. I'm in blue. So here I am.
Oh, I did not realize your castle drop you were using the Khmers.
No, I wasn't. The AI is the Khmers. I'm the Franks.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So almost every one of the build orders that I use, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Sino. We start with 6 on the Gaia unit meets. I've kind of tweaked a little bit how I do mine for the fast castle because I would get stunted with wood. So you'll see what I mean by like when I put my villagers to lumber.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've shift queued my scouts to get any of the dark areas inside of my arena. And it's just constant building of villagers. I'm not sure if this shows the idle town center time right now. I've got 1 second of idle town center, and that was right at the beginning. First thing I do is I hotkey H for my town center, and then Q to pump out villagers. Like that all has to happen within a half a second. Here we go. Where's my scout? I saw him running over here. There we go. He's going where I told him to go. Over. Yeah. Right now I'm just staging my scout. Whenever I have a free moment to think about him, I'll immediately send him to scout the enemy. Ideally, you want him scouting an arena before you click feudal. Like as soon as right now, he should be scouting, which it looks like I'm falling behind here. I could have done this better. But so you can see over here, one of the things some people like to do 1 on wood before doing their berries. I do 2 on wood, then I do my berries, then I do a 3rd on wood, and then I send one over to a boar. If you're new to Age of Empires, really not going to ever beat the extreme AI until you get to the point where you're doing about near perfect Dark Age on whatever build order you're choosing. Now, one of the things you'll note that we are not doing is I am not pushing deer. I know that's still a mechanic, but in the new patch, they're taking that mechanic away. So all of the playthroughs I'm doing, I'm not pushing deer because I don't want to be in that habit when the new patch comes. So once I've got the boar, all my next villagers now are getting wood. The first villager after the boar, I send to make a lumber camp wherever they're not going to cut their way out of the walls.
Do you only have 3 people on berries right now, or where's your 4th berry person?
Nope, there's 4 there.
Oh, okay. I just can't see him, I guess.
Yep. Now, I probably got my second boar a little bit early, and so I'm probably giving up a little bit to rot with my second boar. But it's relatively minimal. It's the way that I'm pushing one Gaia unit into the town center at a time. The only rot that I have through this whole thing is during that second boar.
Now, one thing I just noticed, you switched a bunch of those farmers onto the boar to kill the boar. Those farmers are no longer farming. It was good that you farmed early, but where do those
they're still there.
People go?
They're still farming. I switched them from lumber to farms, not to the boar.
No, well, unless I'm not seeing it, I'm seeing nobody farming now that you've got the people on board.
No, I've got 3 farmers. I've got them highlighted so you can see their health bars.
There's one guy that's farming now.
You're looking at the commerce, dude. Maybe? No?
No, I can only see yours.
What's the timestamp that you're seeing? Because there's a lag in the stream.
9:23.
Yeah, even at 9:23, I've got 3 on farms. I don't know how you're only seeing 1. They're right on the town center.
I can show you the video. I mean, I can show you the picture of what I saw. There's two now. They switched back over, but they disappeared for a while.
You know, it's interesting. You know, I don't know why. I'm glad you brought this up. The stream is, for some reason, centered on the opponent. Oh, you know why? I know why.
No wonder. Yeah, it is on the opponent.
You're not viewing the capture age. You're viewing. Shit.
Yeah.
That's my bad. You're just viewing the replay. For some reason, the stream didn't select the capture age.
You want to restart this stream? Well, I don't know.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna rewind it all the way back to the beginning. So yeah, you were watching the AI.
Yeah, no wonder. I was like, dude, you literally stopped farming to kill that boar, and then I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep, here we go. Yeah.
There we go. That's you.
Yeah. we'll take off Fog of War. Here we go. I want to apologize to the viewers for that delay. Just for the sake of clips and everything, I'm going to go and explain all that again. Feel free to interject if you have anything to add, Sino.
All right.
All right, so we're right back at the beginning of the build order. 6 on Gaia units. I group my first 6 villagers so that I can just shift queue them to the next Gaia unit. And like we talked about earlier with the rot, to minimize that rot, making sure that they're going to one animal at a time. My 7th villager, I'm having build a house, and then he's shift queued to the tree closest to the town center. The same tree that I set my town center to spawn to after the 7th villager is made. Now, after that 8th villager is made, I set the spawn point to berries. So the 9th villager just popped out. He's building my mill. Villagers 9 through 12 are all going to berries. While this is all happening, my scout is... I'm going to turn Fog of War off so you can see. He's explored all of my area on the mini-map. If I had done better, what I should have done at this point, he should already be scouting for the enemy. We'll come back to him later when I see that he's moving on the mini-map. Alright, so we're almost at our 12th villager. 13th villager, I typically have build a house and go to wood. I can't remember if I remembered to have him build a house this time. But when I say go to wood, I mean specifically straggler trees around the town center, because these 3 lumberjacks are going to turn into farmers. And they're very crucial farmers if you want a fast castle. Like, if you don't have them, you're going to be waiting on food production to go to feudal, and it's going to set you back a good 30-45 seconds. And you need every second for this extreme AI. There you go. So now that 14th villager is made, 14 goes to the boar. 15 is going to be queued over here for me, and he's going to make my lumber camp. Meanwhile, 14's still coming in. This is where grouping really comes in handy, because it's really annoying if you're clicking and dragging to select these guys. If you can just hit 1 and then right-click the boar, it's so smooth. So I got distracted. You can see that idle villager. That wasn't great. Not a perfect run, but you can see with even some little hiccups, you can still beat the extreme AI. I like to destroy unnecessary walls in my arena just to give my villagers better access. Like, what a useless gate. Now, after the lumber camp is done, as soon as I get 60 wood, I'm sending these straggler villagers to farms. I don't know what's going on with this bastard right here. He should be doing something. But it looks like, yeah, he's supposed to be on the boar.
You started farms really early too. That's why.
Oh no, he's supposed to be on wood for some. There we go. Now I got him converted over. So that idle villager could have made that farm a little sooner had I not for some reason had him stop building farms. It must have just been a hotkey issue at some point and I missed it.
Now, one thing that I do that would speed up your process a little bit is if you were to take that boar, the villager that's on the one boar by himself, shift queue him to go to the second boar once he's done.
Nope. So I always split my villagers evenly between the two. There's actually 4 on that boar, and they're all shift queued.
Oh.
Now I've got 7 on that boar again. And then
Okay.
I've got them shift queued now to go to the sheepy that's right over me. Yeah. And now I've already queued feudal. My goal for this build is to hit feudal by 8:30. If I hit feudal by
What's your
8:30,
time right now?
huh?
What's your time right now? Because it froze.
My time is 9:12 game.
All right, I'm at 8:45 right now.
Okay, so we got about
This
30
stream's going
seconds
well.
lame. Not lame, but
Yeah.
30-second delay. Yeah, unfortunately, pausing it's not really going to help you catch up.
Oh, no.
um,
Oh, no.
so, in feudal age, there's really not much to do. Well, during feudal research, not much to do. I'm just continuing to farm those Gaia units, make sure there's no waste. When all of my villagers are on the last sheep, I'm shift queuing them for the deer. We're not pushing deer, but I still harvest them. Once I get into feudal, immediately market first. If you're new to these build orders and you're watching this, the market is your very first feudal age building, and you'll see why it's really important for this Sino build order. Actually, for most build orders, it's crucial. Don't forget to house. You can see I'm at 24 pop, so I sent one of my wood to get housed. Now that the market's built, I can sell one food and one gold, to get me to 200 gold to go into castle. As soon as that's done, boom, starting castle at 1157. That's my fastest castle to date. I haven't castled before 12 minutes before until today. Really happy about that. All right, now it's all about important. What are your important researches? While you're researching castle, double bit axe. Do not do your mill upgrades at all for this build. Don't waste the resources. You need to move 8 villagers to stone, build that mining camp during this time. I send 4 from wood to this stone and 4 from my hunters to the stone. Now these hunters are going to be the ones that are going to build my castle. So I do double bit axe, and then I research the stone mining, because you got to get stone fast. It's crucial. Now I got the enemy got into my area here, and this is another hiccup that happened that didn't happen on any of my other playthroughs. I had to mess this guy up, and it delayed me. So this is actually a pretty inefficient castle drop. I could have finished my castle a good 30-45 seconds earlier if it hadn't been for this guy getting in. And he killed a couple of my villagers, but I jacked him up. Which maybe down the road helped me a little bit, but I would rather have him stayed alive and kept those villagers, because I had to make up for that. And so at this point I got distracted getting him down the rest of his HP. That's why these guys are idle right now. 560. Now I have enough with the Franks to build my castle, which is happening.
It's another thing to note with the Franks for the people watching. Franks have the automatic mill upgrades, so you don't have to actually get horse collar or anything with them because they automatically have it.
Yeah. Which is true. Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things I do like about the Franks is they're very resource efficient in the early game. Well, in all the game really, but especially the early game, those really do help. Now, one thing I could have done better here, my castle really should have been one more square to that northeast. I'm a little too close to this gate. But you can see, even with hiccups and mistakes, we're still gonna win. It was far from a perfect run, but it was good enough.
So you're building the castle at 1650 forward castle.
Yep, that's when it finishes. Yeah. Now at this point in time, I as soon as I have the resources, like, I got distracted by the enemy in my arena, but right now, if I hadn't been distracted by that turd, this guy would be attacking this wall already. Would be attacking the gate, I should say. As soon as I have the wood for it, these 4 villagers are gonna make a they're gonna make a workshop. Yeah, I really could have sped this whole thing up by about 45 seconds. But even a slow run is still effective.
I'm surprised on even extreme HGAI they don't have any buildings outside of their base by now.
Mm-hmm. Now, honestly, so the power of Wilson for this strategy, he uses the Saracens. He thinks the Saracens are the most effective build or civ for this build, which they very well may be. But I like the Franks for my style of gameplay. Like you can see even now I'm a little slow. Like this bloody throwing axeman should be helping out here. Right now, what's happening is when I was playing this, my head is over here. I'm trying to recoup my economy from the villagers that scout killed, and I'm trying to get all that back. Now I've got 200. I should be building my workshop soon. Yep, here we go. And I'm still pumping out throwing axemen. I've queued my ram. Huh?
I was going to say, can you move your screen a little bit more to the left because we can't see because your overlay is on.
Is that better?
But where the gate is, we can't see the gate. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
So
the only people that were attacking the gate are the throwing axemen people.
No, my scout is too, and now that my ram's pumped out, my ram is hitting it. By the time my ram starts attacking, I've got 4 throwing axemen and a cavalry. Just for the upgrades on my throwing axemen, I've got my villagers building the barracks because I want them to have the speed upgrade. That's another thing too I didn't mention. The blacksmith, you may not have seen it on the stream. You got to make sure that you get your infantry upgrades on the blacksmith, the forging.
Now, the gold that you have, okay, you had 4 people on gold, but really you just kind of used the gold that you already had from your beginning stages to build those first couple axemen people.
Yep. And then shortly, these 4 villagers, I'm going to have them mining the gold by the gate. So because gold becomes really important to be making these axemen. Now that I'm in, and here's what's really, really crucial about getting in early. If you get in any later than what I did on this slow run, they're going to have multiple town centers and they're going to be working on their econ boom, and their villagers will mess up your rams. Like, it won't even be their military that's screwing you up. It's just they're going to have 80, 90 villagers to go through, and they're going to be messing you up. Shortly, I'm going to be redirecting these rams to the town center. If I put the Fog of War back on, you can see why it hadn't unlocked for me earlier. Not unlocked, but couldn't see it. So I'll keep the Fog of War on now just so you can see what it would look like from the player's perspective. Yep, now I'm just letting my rams jack up buildings. Now, Power of Wilson doesn't do anything with siege in his strategy. His Saracens bust through the gates really fast, and he's just harassing villagers like crazy without any siege. I added siege to his strat.
To get into the gate with.
What's that?
What does the guy with the Saracens use to get into the gate?
I'm not familiar with that civ. I know that he was just using his castle units. He didn't build any other military buildings. He did it all with his castle units.
I think the castle unit, but that's the Camel Marmaduke, I think.
That sounds about right.
If I'm not mistaken, let me check.
Yeah. So the key to this is, you want keeping your rams on buildings and then harass. Like, at some point, I just shift Q. Shift Q becomes really huge here, so that you can direct your ground troops better to the villagers. Like right now, I'm probably at this point. Usually, when my villagers are attacking buildings, it's because I'm checking on my economy back at my main base. If my focus when I'm playing is in the battle, you'll see that's when my villagers are or my military is going to one villager at a time and just killing all of his villagers.
Yeah, it's the Mamalud. They have one more attack than the bearded axeman that you're using, but
Yeah.
otherwise pretty damn close.
Yeah, they're a great unit. If you if you're watching this and you haven't tried this build, like this strategy is designed for the Saracens. Um, Now you can see where I was inefficient and how it could be better, but in general, even with those mistakes, I'm just jacking up the extreme AI, just graping them. I mean, look at this. We're 26 minutes in, and I'm on his last villagers. I mean, just utterly wrecked. Do you have any questions for me, Sino? Was there anything that I may have missed that I should explain?
Just when did you do the actual upgrades for the blacksmith, and which ones did you do?
So the blacksmith upgrades I do in castle. So like immediately after castle, after I send my villagers to stone, um, generally I have these guys queued too. But like one of the first things I do is I go and I get double bit axe. Then I come and I get the stone mining because I need these guys cranking out stone. Then I come back to the blacksmith, and that's when I get the it's not ironworks. What's the research before ironworks?
Forging.
Forging. I get forging and fletching. Fletching is huge because you did. If I had been maybe 15 seconds later, he would have had some military attacking this castle. And also a lot of times he'll send villagers through there. You want your castle just to jack them up immediately, like 1-2 shot these guys, and you won't be able to do that without fletching. So those are the researches: double bit, stone mining, fletching and forging, and then from the barracks, squire. All of that happens as quick as you're able to after getting into Castle Age. You should be starting your castle building as soon as possible after castle is finished. And that doesn't mean send your villagers to build it when castle's done. You need to send your villagers to build that castle when research for that age is at between 60 and 70% to drop the castle when you need to.
And that's when you send your people to stone, is when it's at 60%.
Yeah, so I don't send my stone villagers anymore. I'm sending my my hunters. I take the 3 hunters and I take 1 from wood, and then I have them come over here. So that right when castle hits, the first thing I do is drop that castle. And I want it 2 squares out from the gate, or from the wall. And ideally, I had 1 square away. This should be 2 squares away. That way, if the enemy comes to attack you, they have to go around, or they have further distance to travel to give your castle time to mess them up more. You want to get as many arrows into them as possible.
Yeah.
So placement of the castle is important, but like you can see, I didn't do that perfect. There's a lot I didn't do perfect on this build, and I still won.
Yeah, I guess I have to know the exact timing. So, when you dropped that castle, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 17 minutes, right?
Let's see. So we're at 2 minutes now. If I was in Capture Edge, I'd be able to click forward on the timeline a bit quicker, but my stream had some hiccups with Capture Edge.
Yeah.
But we're, but you like, I mean, you just if this build, even with it being imperfect, you think AI is dead within before 30 minutes game time. All right, so
I'm wondering if I could like do a hybrid fast Imperial with this castle drop too and see if that works.
see, I think the castle drop only works if you bust in before they get their second town center. Like once they get their second town center, there's just too much. Here we go. You see they're coming over.
All right, so that's 13 minutes when they're doing the castle,
Yep.
and they're building the castle at.
They're mid build at 1540 in this, but like I said, this was slow. It should have been slower. They should have dropped that castle at 1205.
So basically, once you are mining that stone, you're sending those villagers over to be in place.
No, I'm sending the villagers, like I said, at 60 to 70% because I want them to drop the castle as soon as the castle age finishes.
Yeah.
Immediately. I was slow on this one. Like this really should this cast they should have started building at 1205. It's assuming you have the resources, but if you don't have the resources, they should still be there waiting. This is the only time I like approve of idle villagers is like when it's purposeful like this. Boom. Now
Now that I'm looking, one other thing you could have done, which I know it's kind of hard to like multitask it, but you at that point you've done with your stone. You could have sold off the rest of the stone and bought the wood so you had the rams ready earlier.
yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I could have managed my my buying and my trade economy better.
And that way you would have been able to bust in the door a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might not have had, the problem with that, though, is you might not have had the throwing axemen ready to, like, kind of back those guys up.
Yeah.
But it was early enough that you really only needed, like, one or two of those guys, probably.
Now, a viewer might be wondering, why am I letting these villagers idle instead of having them make a mine and harvest the gold? It's because that mine costs 100 wood, and I need that wood for the workshop. So this is the only scenario where I would ever be like, okay, those idle villagers make sense. Now, you see my wood count now at 1912 is close to 300. They should be producing the workshop right now. They're slow on this. I don't know what I'm distracted by when I was playing this earlier, but there we go. I'm obviously brought my attention back because I sent that axeman to go after the gate. But I'm also missing that. There we go. Now I got the other axeman. There's these little inefficiencies, but even not perfect. You can really jack up the extreme AI with this. And back here, I know, like, oh yeah, my attention had gotten divided because his cavalry unit had gotten in here. I forgot about that. That's where my head was at. I was defending my main base. I had these four guys were attacking his scout. Now, one way that you can prevent that if you're watching it, I was so focused on my strat that as soon as these guys leave your base, you're not sending more people there to prevent that scout. I could have locked all my gates. Like that whole situation could have been prevented by me locking these gates, because there's not going to be any necessary traffic after the scout and 4 villagers are over here. That was a very preventable hiccup.
Yeah, it's also worth noting for the viewers, he has 28 villagers and he's done. No more making villagers after that.
No, me? Oh,
yeah.
No, I constantly produce more villagers because I need food to produce more units. So I'm like, watch my villager count. Like right now, I'm low on resources building other stuff. But yeah, you'll see villagers come up here.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at your villager count right now and it says 28.
Right now, yeah. I'm saving up to research something, which is why I'm not building villagers right now. But if I don't need the resources for military or researching a specific thing, then I am producing villagers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, those throwing axemen are really going in and killing the villagers really easily.
yeah. Now, I mean, at this point, technically, you probably don't need to. You probably don't need more villagers at this point. But you'll see that I do create them later. Um, yeah.
And you did this with one town center, and the enemy also has just one town center.
Yeah, to beat the extreme AI with this strategy, if you see he's got 2 town centers, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. He's economy booming, and he's already done loom, so his villagers can do severe damage at that point. This strat only works if you bust in his gate before 20 minutes. And he only has 1 town center. You see a second town center and you're playing 1v1 solo, just restart it and work on getting your times better and getting more efficient.
Yeah, wow, 16. Okay, well that's interesting to see. 16 minutes and you're at the door already.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you might be right. Maybe I did. If the only reason I would have stopped building villagers is because I was so focused on the battle. Generally speaking, I would hit my hotkey and keep producing villagers. But yeah, in this build, you're right. My head was just out of my economy and into the battle.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, like I said, look at you. I mean, you fought, you won, and you did what you needed to do. So. You know, if you had 28 villagers remain, and then you're still cranking out, your army and stuff, that's all you really need to do.
Yeah. And you can see it's been a hot minute before I've built anybody. Like nobody's been queued for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's just about getting those last villagers. And I think this guy or the next guy that comes in is the last villager. One of these two, I think, are their last 2 villagers. And once the villagers are dead, it's game over. And there it is.
How come no one's shooting the... Oh, they're there, finally. Nice. I was like, they should have been shooting that guy for a while. He was almost done building that town center.
Yeah, what was that time? I missed the time on... I think it was like 27 and change.
20, yeah, something like that.
Yep. It was nuts. Like, again, shout out to Power of Wilson. I know I didn't follow your build order, but I did follow generally your drop castle. I had to supplement Power of Wilson's again. He doesn't do the workshop. He doesn't do the barracks. I did it because my units were not efficient enough to bring down the gate as quick as the Saracens did. And who knows, maybe since Power of Wilson's done it, there's been patches and stuff that have changed the landscape. I don't know. But Power of Wilson, thanks again. That was an awesome strat and completely took me to my next level of AI gameplay. Any thoughts, Sino?
No, I think that it worked. I mean, the biggest key on Extreme AI, the biggest key really was to do it as fast and early as possible. And I think your big key to doing that was walking over your people to forward castle right when you got into castle lane, so it was ready to drop. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah, and it's a lot of resources, right, to do that forward castle. Now, could another strategy work? Like, instead of putting those 8 villagers on stone, would it have been better, not even better, but could it have been effective to put them on wood and build the workshop and army and just done it with spearmen and rams. My answer to that would be yes, as long as you get in there early enough. It's all about being aggressive and getting in there fast. This is a blitzkrieg. It's not a marathon.
Yeah, I do think that you're right. I'm going to try to do it that way without the castle. Or maybe I will try it with the castle too. I think the one thing that the castle does, and I'll say this, the one thing that the castle does that the other buildings don't is while you're building the buildings or building your units or whatever it is when you're forward attacking,
Mm-hmm.
the castle is always going to be attacking at 11 strength with the biggest range that you've got available to you in the game.
Right.
And it has the HP to stay alive to do it.
Yeah, but notice my castle really didn't do a lot there because the enemy had no military. So like he did help out with the villagers that were coming out to maybe like relocate his base. But the castle definitely shortened the gameplay, but I don't think the castle clinches the win. I think it just speeds up the win. I think what clinches the win is tearing that gate down before 20 minutes and having your scout plus 5 of any military unit. Like I think ideally ranged. Like because if you have I don't think the man at arms would be a good military unit to go in with because his town center is going to mess him up. Your ranged units, you can mess up the villagers while they're running to the town center without getting shot. So I think that's another key to this build is its success is making sure that those first units that you're making are ranged in some way. Like I think an archer and workshop would be great for this.
Yeah, archer workshop, or you could even do the bearded axeman. For me, using the Malians is a really, really good strategy because they're the strongest range units that I use personally for my builds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ethiopians are good for what I use as well. The Magyars is also a good example because you can use the cavalry archers because you get the bonus on archer stuff.
Yeah.
It does make me also wonder, though, I wonder if this strategy works as well as it did. Maybe you could even do the Cuban strategy, forward siege, and then, use the cavalry and go in.
Yeah.
Don't even use... I'm trying to think, do you really even need to go into Castle Age if you're doing all of that fast?
You need castle for your siege weapons unless you're Kuman.
Right.
Because I guess I don't do any research beyond feudal research with this build, even though I'm in castle. So you're right. If you're doing a siege workshop rush and you're the Kumans, you don't need to go to castle. You can save those resources and probably get into the enemy's base before 15 minutes. You could probably speed it up quite a bit.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like I did a 23 pop, but if you did a 29 pop feudal, 29 plus 1 pop feudal, so 30 pop total, that puts you going into feudal around 11 and a half. Time-wise, it's kind of a horse a piece, but you'll have a stronger wood and gold economy that you would need for an archer and workshop build. So yeah, with the Kumars, you could definitely pull that off.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to try. It does make me wonder why we struggled with it earlier this week, but it might be just we weren't doing it fast enough.
Yeah, I mean,
the split thing.
I mean, like on this build, I got into castle before 12 minutes for the first time. It was like 11:52 or 11:56. It was a ridiculously fast castle for me anyway. Maybe someone like Hera or Spirit of the Law, like that's a long time for them. I don't know, but for me, like that was crazy fast. Like even the ones that did earlier, I didn't get any faster than 12:03. So I busted my best time by 5 seconds, which is huge. Like swimmers throw parties for shaving 5 seconds off their lap time.
Yeah, yeah. I think that yeah, when it comes down to it, getting faster because I'm trying to think of what we did when we were doing that human split strategy and why this, for whatever reason, worked better than that. Especially since we were like doing it in feudal. Maybe it's just because we weren't doing it fast enough. I still think that's really what it comes down to. Because, like, for example, you obviously have all of your boom to get into castle, like doing your strategy you just did.
Mm-hmm.
But like you would basically be doing it with humans without actually getting into, well, without dropping the castle, right? Because we would just be using the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the only advantage is that you're using your bearded axe once you get in to kill them.
You know, if I was to do, if I was to do the workshop build, on 1v1, I would instead of selling my stone to speed up the process, I'd probably put that stone towards the guard tower, just so that I've got some arrows coming out by that gate.
Yeah.
And then I think in a 2v2 strategy, the best thing to do against the AI at any rate is to have each person take one civ and do a forward drop strategy. Not just castle, forward dropping any military building that fits their civ and fits their playstyle.
Yeah, I guess the one advantage of going into castle also, or to dropping the castle, is, and correct me if I'm wrong because I couldn't pay attention to everything in the actual base that you were making.
Yeah.
You didn't end up building the barracks or stables or anything, right?
I built the barracks and a workshop. I built the barracks specifically for the squire research to speed up my throwing axeman.
Okay.
So like I only did 4 researches this game total, or I'm sorry, five researches. So I did double bit bat axe, I did stone, I did fletching, I did forging, and I did squire.
Okay. So you did do the stone upgrade, not the gold upgrade.
Nope, you never did the gold. I could be wrong about that. I may have done the gold upgrade later. I don't think I did on this one. I don't think it's necessary.
I would agree. I don't think it is necessary. You get in early enough. All of those economic upgrades, if they don't come included or as a bonus in your civ, that upgrade is 100% not worth it. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to recoup the gold one. So, yeah, I would say you probably didn't do it, and that was probably the right move because it's not worth it. But yeah, I mean, thank you, Corporal Punishment, for having me, and this is an amazing strategy. Shout out to the guy that you got a lot of it from, and then we're slowly tweaking other people's strats to fit our strat for sure. Like, and thanks for the shout out on the original build order for my shout out, because I mean I definitely did tweak someone else's build order. I can't remember the guide. I wish I did. But his build order was really, really good.
Yeah, I think,
So
because I know you like the Coomers. I think if it were me and I was doing the Coomer build, I would do I would do my economy similar to what I in Dark Age, similar as what I would do in a 29 pop fast imp. Um, but I would stay in feudal. I just want those 29 pop to really pump out the resources that I need so I can get those rams early and so that I can pump out the archery units that I need early. Um, Now, if you're gonna go with archers, because I think you do have to go with the throwing unit. What's nice about the castle drop is you start with the castle's unit, right? Like you don't have to build a barracks if you don't want to. If you just want to stick to that special unit, you don't need the extra stuff. But if you're gonna do an archery build, you don't just have the cost of your archery range. You also have the cost of the barracks. So a lot of things to consider. But yeah, as I'm watching this and we're evaluating it, I don't think the castle is necessary. And then if you're doing a 2v2 partnership like what we're going to be doing with the Coomers, I would do the 29 pop feudal. So for the extra resources, yeah, and then once they're all where they need to be, just pump out archers and rams.
yeah, I kind of think maybe that's what it is. Instead of doing the scouts, like instead of the scouts when we break in with the Rams, when we were doing our like split strategy, maybe just I don't know, maybe just do like you can do the Rams, like I'll let you do the Rams, and then I just because I know all the archer builds because I do the archers and stuff. I'll just go in with archers and just fucking kill them that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to strategize and maybe we can try it a couple different versions and then we can do the streaming recap. There, yeah, my villagers over here finished them off.
Yeah. Or like you said, I mean, honestly, this strategy works so well. We don't even need like the. I mean, we could try not doing the team Kuman strategy and just seeing, fuck it, let's just try and, each of us be our own civ and just both of us castle drop or both of us siege workshop drop. Basically, is what it's called.
Right.
Because like you did siege, no matter what. I mean, right when you got into Castle Age, whether you drop the castle or the siege workshop, it doesn't really matter the order. You could do it either way. Yeah. And then and let's face it, it's going to be a lot faster to build a siege workshop and an archery range or a barracks or a stable than it would be to build the castle. So
yeah.
The second the ram is built, start pounding on the gate. Get 4 or 5 archers or 4 or 5 stable units made by them, run in and kill them.
Yep. Now, I will say, if I'm doing an archer build, instead of a castle drop, I would not put my 8 guys on to stone. I would put those 8 guys to gold. Or split them between gold and wood. Because those resources are the resources you need for an archer build.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we've thoroughly dissected this for our viewers. Thanks again for coming on today, Sino.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I hope our viewers learned something from this, got something out of it. Hopefully we could help you get further along. We've been doing this seriously, real seriously working on our improvement systematically for about 3 months. And we've still got like a long way to go. Like we're not Hera, like we're not, Spirit of the Law. We're not any of these, 3,000 ELO ranked players. But hopefully we can help get your game from, hard to extreme.
Yeah, or even from beginner. I mean, people that are at the beginner level, it's totally fine.
Yeah. For beginner, it's all about, like for me, I was systematically using my rehearsal time on Dark Age. Getting that Dark Age muscle memory and flawless, that's the first step, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time, where hopefully Sino and I will have beaten Extreme AI HD 2v2, and we can show you that playthrough.
Absolutely.
Ooh, having some screen problems. All right.